listening to farmers, capturing trait preferences through audio interviews in Tricot trials. And this is going to be presented by Maria Delfine, who is a research consultant with the Alliance of Bioversity and CIAT, working in the Inclusive Design and User Research team. Maria has a background in sustainable food systems and nutrition and focuses on participatory and user-centered research, particularly exploring farmers' motivations to participate in citizen science. Today, she will share insights from a study of audio-based interviews to collect qualitative data from farmers involved in Tricot trials in Rwanda. Marie and colleagues found that these interviews strengthen participatory agricultural research by revealing farmers' reasoning and contextual knowledge. So thank you, Maria, for sharing your research today. And the floor is yours to present. Let me just unshare my screen so you can share yours.
Thank you, Rachel. Hello, everyone. It's nice that you joined this webinar. As Rachel said, I'm Maria, and I work in the inclusive design and user research team, especially on a project where we try to understand farmers' motivation to join citizen science projects such as the Tricot, and also their sustained motivation to continue participating. And today, I'm going to present Listening to Farmers, Capturing Trait Preferences through Audio Interviews in Tricot Trials, which was a pilot study. I work on this project with Charles, Anna, Bela, and Jakob. And I also want to thank all the people who work on the field. So One Acre Fund in Rwanda, the Tricot farmers involved, and the enumerators who made the research collection, the data collection possible. So today I'm going to present you the background and the research idea, our research objectives, the methodology divided in the interview approach and the data analysis, the different results, the limitation, the key takeaways, and the conclusions. As I think all of you know, the Tricot. So to evaluate then the Tricot, usually what is used is a standard survey that allows for evaluating all the three varieties through traits ranking. And in this way, we are able to collect a large scale of data, and this data, it's easy to compare across farmers. However, we have limited insights on how and why farmers evaluate certain traits as important. So we started reflecting on this and how can we collect this how and why. And during this reflection, we decided to run a pilot study, conducted audio interviews in a way that farmers can explain in their own words the how and the why. And we wanted to assess the feasibility and the added value of using audio-based data collection to capture farmers' qualitative explanation of plant traits, preferences within the Tricot trials. And to do that, we set two research objectives. The first one, to evaluate the richness of qualitative information captured through audio recordings compared to Tricot standard evaluation forms. And we hypothesized that audio recorded interviews provide richer and more detailed insights into farmers' trait preferences than Tricot standard evaluation forms. And second, the research objective was to assess the feasibility and acceptability of audio recording as a data collection tool among farmers and enumerators. In this case, we hypothesized that farmers and enumerators find audio-based data collection feasible, comfortable, and linguistically accessible. As I told you, it was a pilot. We were already in Rwanda doing the data collection for the motivation project I'm working on. And with the help of One Acre Fund, we selected 7 lead farmers. And these lead farmers had participated in the Tricot before or were currently participating in the Tricot. And 5 of them were working on maize, while 2 of them were working on cabbage trials. Regarding the data collection, we conducted the interviews in Kenya, Rwanda, so the local language, and we use ODK audio recording to collect the data. The interview was structured in 4 main themes. So the first section was about the farming season reflection. In this way, it was really an introduction section, but in this way, we were able to create already a nice environment and a nice space for the farmers to share his or her experience with the current season. The second theme was the experiences with the 3 tested varieties. For example, we asked, can you describe what you noticed about each of the 3 varieties? And in this way, the farmers spontaneously, they started talking about traits. In the third theme, we went more in depth in the trait investigation, but we didn't ask about specific traits. We didn't nominate any trait. It was just using the traits that the farmers said themselves. And then we went into levels of probing. So we asked a clarifying question to understand what trait means for them. For example, you mentioned that trait. Can you explain what that trait means to you? And the second level of probing was the exploration of the relevance of the trait. So you mentioned that trait. Can you explain why that trait is relevant to you? And the fourth theme, the fourth and last section was about the feedback on the Tricot participation and the interview process. Regarding the data analysis, we conducted a transcription and a translation from Kenya, Rwanda to English. And then we worked with a thematic coding of farmer responses. We worked with both deductive coding framework that was based on the predetermined crop traits relevant to maize and cabbage in Rwanda, based on the survey that is usually conducted. And regarding the inductive coding, these were all the themes that emerged during the farmer's own explanation and reflection. In order to answer to the first research question, we set 2 analytical indicators because we wanted to quantify a bit the richness of the information that we got. So what we decided to do was to create 2 indicators. One is the thematic diversity. So we calculated the numbers of traits that were mentioned by the farmers. And the other indicator is the causal richness. So the explanation linking traits to outcomes. Here we can see the results in terms of what traits were nominated by the farmers. In total, the farmers nominate 8: market size, glass maturity, pest resistance, taste, texture, leaf size, and color. And this list that you can see here is it goes from the most nominated to the least nominated. So yield was really that one that emerged as important for all the farmers. And in this table, instead, you can see both the thematic diversity and the causal richness. If we focus on, for example, number 45 and number 51, we can see that number 45 discusses many traits, 7 over on 8, while number 51, for example, focus only on 2 traits, but explain them in much more details. So in this way, this result highlights an important point that audio interviews reveal not only what farmers prioritize, but also how they reason, showing different styles of thinking and explanations. In this slide, you can see a bit in more details the reasoning of the farmer. So the farmer really started from the trait, and in the explanation arrived to an outcome. For example, the higher yield for many of the farmers meant having income because they could sell part of the harvest, but at the same time they could keep part of the harvest for themselves, increasing their food security, their household food security. Another example, some farmers say that for the maize, they prefer a maize with a fixed stalk Peak stalk is an indicator for stronger plants, and if the plant is stronger, it's going to have bigger cobs. Regarding climate resistance instead, if the plant is resistant to the local climate, it means that the farmer is going to have a more stable harvest. With this graph, I know it maybe is a bit chaotic, but I really wanted to give you the impression of this interconnection between all the traits. So the farmers describe seed performance as a result of an interconnected system of agronomic, environmental, and market traits. And as you can see, yield stands at the center of this framework, and it's both an outcome and an indicator of performance, shaped by structural traits like stalk and stem size, leaf size and color, functional traits, climate and pest resistance, maturity, and market and sensory traits, marketability, taste, texture, size, and shape. And these arrows indicate the perceived and causal and feedback relationship among the traits, illustrating how the farmers integrate the visual, experiential, and economic criteria when assessing crop quality and selecting varieties. And if we focus, for example, on climate, starting from climate resistance, and we go a bit down, we can see that if the plant is resistant to the climate, this will have an impact on the color of the leaf. And if the color of the leaf stay green, this indicates vigor for the farmers. And if the plant is vigorous, according to the farmers, it's going to produce a higher yield. And this graph is present in the report that you wrote. So then if you like, you, of course, can investigate it more. Something else that we did was comparing the interviews to the current survey. So the survey currently presents actually a more detailed list of traits. There are more traits in the survey compared to the interviews traits that came out. But the way we look at traits in the survey, for example, yield, it's expressed as quantities, kilograms per hectare. Marketability is a binary variable. Is the product sold at the market? Is not sold. Maturity is also binary. Early maturity or late maturity. Pest, for example, there is no pest resistance as a trait, but there is only a list of different pests that could affect the plant. Or a drought tolerance for the maize, but there was no indication to climate resistance in general, because what we saw is that for the farmers, they talk about climate resistance and not only drought, for example. And on the contrary, what we see from the interviews is that the farmers is able to explain why the traits matter, income, food security. We saw just before how the traits connect with each other. And there was also there were also additional traits added from the farmers. For example, the taste, the texture for the cabbage, the stem size is also important for the cabbage, the leaf indicator, so the color and the size of the leaves. And talking about climate resistance, not only drought tolerance, and talking about pest resistance and not only listing the different pests. Here I wanted to show you some of the conversation that we had with the farmers. So, for example, farmers said the bigger the stem, the bigger the cabbage can grow. Another farmer talking about climate resistance. For them, a plant that is a trait that a plant that resists to climate means that we withstand the local climate. Another one, I would choose variety A, even though it takes a bit longer to mature. So in this case, for example, we see that early maturity is not actually seen in a positive way, because for this farmer, what was more important was having higher yields, and the variety that was maturing later actually achieved that. And then the last one, the leaves stayed green from the bottom upwards until it fully matured and dried properly instead of drying too soon, referring to the maize. So this was the way the farmer visualized yield on the plant. And now we wanted to investigate the feasibility of audio interviews. In this slide, you can see only the farmer's perspective, not the numerators. because unfortunately we did not conduct interviews with the enumerators, but had conversation with them. And from their side, what was really nice was the dynamics and the connection that was created with the farmers to this method, thanks to the interview. And
I think Maria has frozen.
maybe a difficulty that they encountered the way they needed to ask the question without.
Oop. I think we've lost Maria. Let's just see if she can reconnect. There she is. Hi, Maria. We
Hi,
lost you.
Rachel, sorry.
It's okay.
No, it happened.
Well, I'm glad you're back. You can just find where you
Yeah,
stopped and
I hope I was not talking to myself for long.
I'll tell you where you left off.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
It's coming through. It's not
Okay.
there yet, but there, I can see it now.
Now? Okay.
Mhm.
Did it arrive here? Did it stop here?
Yeah, you were still on the one on the left. You had just talked about
So what is?
that they felt that it was easier to speak. Yes.
Okay, so it was about the feasibility. Okay. I'm
Mhm.
glad I was not talking to myself for a long time. Okay, sorry for this.
Okay, don't worry.
Yes, so what I was saying was that the farmers really felt empowered by this method and they prefer speaking over writing because they can add details. And on the right, you can see some of their comments. So when you record your own voice, it means expressing information that cannot be modified. It carries my own proof. Another farmer said the process is faster and with no problems. Another one, in a recorded conversation, you cannot change what you said. It feels better than writing. And the last one, if someone else asks similar question tomorrow, I will be able to respond easily without hesitation. And something else that the farmers told us was how they like the Tricot and also what could be improved. So for them, benefit from the Tricot were food security, the income generation, and they really like to learn new practices. While more suggestions were linked to having more training, knowing the name of the seeds, and also receiving the seeds in time. And also they would like to include more farmers in the Tricot. And for me and for my team, this is really interesting because this suggestion, with similar suggestion, we also got them during our main project, so understanding farmers' motivation. So it's nice to see that with a different method, we also got similar information out of it. Of course, was a pilot, and there are some limitations. The first one is that the sample was really small. We only had 7 farmers, and all these 7 farmers were lead farmers. So they have a larger expertise, a better expertise compared to the regular farmers. And then the transcription and the coding were quite time consuming. So for future research, would be nice maybe to try it out with a larger sample, but also integrating it with AI and natural language processing. We have been also in contact with the NDZ team to see also how they are working, because they do things similar research, and it's really interesting to see how they work with the natural language processing. So maybe in the future, a collaboration can come out of it. And the key takeaways regarding the richness of the information, the interviews reveal how farmers reason and not only what they prioritize. So some farmers, for example, gave us fewer traits, but with deeper explanation, other many traits with a more descriptive explanation. And there is a strong link of these traits with food security, income, household outcome. For example, stalk thickness indicates that the plant can resist to the wind, and this can bring to higher yields. Regarding the second point, so the feasibility and experience, the farmers felt comfortable after initial hesitation. They prefer speaking over writing. They felt heard and valued. And it works because it's really a natural conversation. The farmers are familiar with the topics, they are the expert, and they have more freedom to explain. So in conclusion, building on Tricot as a citizen science project, we believe that audio interviews can strengthen the participatory research, can enable farmers to express their own voices. They can generate more authentic and farmer-led insights. They can provide a clearer understanding of how farmers think and decide, and especially we can enhance a two-way communication and knowledge creation. So thank you. And as I said before, we have written out a working paper, which is available on the CG. So if you would like to read more, you can find it there. But also you can ask me questions now or later also via email. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maria. I think this is going to be interest to a lot of the listeners here today, because everybody involved in Tricot trials is working with farmers. So I just wanted to ask you a quick question before I open up the floor. Do you have any idea how many Tricot trials already do interview farmers as kind of a regular protocol?
From understanding, none of them, because usually they indeed use this survey format. So there is not really an interview format. So it's really more quantitative data collection instead of qualitative one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. So your study is really showing us how this could be practically done.
Mm-hmm.
And just to say that in the chat, I just copied the link to reports. So if you would like to read more about this study, please go to that report. And now I'd like to open the floor to anyone who has questions. Please raise your virtual hand, which you can find the React button at the bottom of the screen. So we'll start with Stephen. Go ahead. You can unmute.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Maria, for the nice presentation. Okay, beginning from Rachel's inquiry about whether this has been implemented by anybody implementing Tricot. I think when I was still working with the national program, we did try this of embedding audio recording or getting this. But then we were using the existing tools within the CliMob, and we faced a lot of issues on getting our data back, because I think the size of the variables was not compatible with the system. So we abandoned it because it really stopped us from using the data. And that cause also got lost, because we were very disappointed that we could not, out of 100 we received, almost like we lost 40% of our data because of that. So we abandoned it, and later on people started asking these questions and writing them down. then integrating this later on, if it can be refined, then it will be a good thing. I've worked in the area of trait prioritization for a while using different approaches. The bigger question is always what farmer expresses. Does it come to the same thing that the people who are doing crop improvement also call it? Because if you say yield, what is the equivalent of yield at farmer level? And also, how do you pick expression of the farmer and you translate it into a variable that can be used for improvement? That for me is should be the bigger value of any trait prioritization approach, which very many tools have not demonstrated this for a while. So from your perspective, with the audio interviews where you get a broader picture of what a farmer thinks what a variety will be, would it provide a better picture of what a farmer prefers, and that can be used for product design?
Hi, Stephen. Thank you for sharing your experience also with something similar. And I'm sorry that it was difficult to get the data back. So and this is actually also a good feedback too, in the way we do the research and the way then we can also have access to the data and analyze the data. And I don't know if it's in your case, you manage also to conduct those interviews with a larger group of sample, because for us, for example, maybe a difficulty was really conducting with a larger group of sample and was just a pilot, so okay, with these 7 farmers. But that's also something to consider for the future. Regarding your point on the yield, I think with this method, we were really able to understand, in this way, we were really able to understand why yield is important for farmers, and also how do they see yield, but not only yield, also other traits. So not only in quantity in terms of kilograms per hectare, but also when they look just at the plant, they already know that that plant is going to give higher yield compared to another one. Just the way they see, for example, at the leaves regarding to the maize or the stem, how the stem grows, if it's tall, if it resists to the wind. So I think it's really a relevant way to understand more the farmer perspective, and would be nice to combine this with also then to share this information with the breeders in a way that the breeder is also aware what the farmers really would like to see from their plant. So I would say we're also discussing how can we communicate this to the breeders in a way that is also understandable for them, because of course they also have their job and their way of perceiving things. I hope I answered to your point.
Anything to add, Stephen?
Yeah, you have addressed partly my concern. I think in the past that communicating such to the breeder, I think the only thing they will tell you, what you have said is not heritable. And now if what you have said is not heritable, that means it cannot be improved on. So those difficulties in making what a farmer thinks and how it can be transformed into any design that can be improved on is always a bigger question.
Yeah, indeed. And for example, with the other project that we're working on, so understanding farmers' motivation, we are also using participatory videos. So we are reflecting how can we also share, for example, these videos with the breeders, because in this way the breeder can really have not only the voice, but also visualizing what the farmers see. So it's a nice way, I think, to connect the two worlds instead of keeping them separate, because in the end they work with the same aim, but I see also the difficulties also in creating this bridge, in creating this connection.
Okay. Thanks very much for the question. Let's go to the chat. I've got a question from Charles. He says, thank you, Maria, for the wonderful presentation. Being a pilot, what are the prospects of scaling it out? And what are the anticipated challenges?
Thank you, Charles. Well, regarding scaling it out, I actually don't have this information, but I see Anna Müller, she wrote in the chat that they are going to start some audio data collection in Artemis and CIAT for the Tricot trial. So it seems that it's something that is going to be scaled up and tested with a larger group of people, which makes me really happy. And the anticipated challenges, I would say that is the training of the enumerators. And that's in our case, we did it only with the lead farmers, and they understood very well how to follow the interview. So we don't know if the same can happen with the regular farmers. This is something that we need to see. And also later on, I would say it's really the transcription and the translation part that is quite time consuming. But if we combine this with the AI and the natural language processing, I think we can make that part easier. And I see Anna, maybe you would like to say something on this.
Go ahead, Anna.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, so I think the scaling prospects per se are quite good in a sense that there's a demand, and we have heard from several, let's say, stakeholders in breeding that this would be of a lot of value because because it's a way to capture not only the predefined traits by the breeder, but also like these maybe additional preferences for traits that you might not think of in the first place. So for the technical challenges, I think it's really, as Maria said, for integrating then with AI, NLP, etc. But as I also wrote in the chat, so there's this other project, Artemis. They are, I mean, one thing they are working on is this image-based phenotyping. But they're also working now on a data collection, audio-based data collection tool. So that could actually, so they are also trying to apply the method that Maria and team have developed. So in the end, this pilot can then inform a solution that might, I mean, also address a few of the issues that we encountered. Yeah. But I think Violet is not on the call. Violet, who presented a few sessions ago, she's leading this audio data collection. I'm not sure whether somebody else from the Artemis team is here, maybe to share a bit.
I didn't see anyone, but I could be wrong. So shout out if you're there. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, Anna, thank you for mentioning Violet's webinar. So on the community practice website, we have the recordings of all webinars, and she made a presentation on the application that they're developing for the interviews earlier this year. So you can check that out.
Hello.
Yes. Who's speaking?
This is George.
Okay, go ahead. You can ask your question.
George William. George
Go ahead,
William
William.
speaking. Yes, I remember I introduced myself when I was in the fields. And when I was coming back, I had issues of internet breakdown. So I didn't get the complete presentation of Maria. But I was basically asking, because like I was telling you, that in my research, I want to apply this Tricot approach to do my experiment in the field, basically to determine how the different hybrids, maize hybrids perform in the different locations, agroecological locations. But then I wanted to know more about the data collection tools, because when I read literature, I read about the claim mob app, the app technology, but I need to understand how that claim mob app is used, how data analysis is done, how do you analyze the data? Because when I read literature, it shows me that there's a way you collect data by ranking, but then after ranking, that data is put into the plus. Is it bracket? Some kind of bracket, a bracket model. Yes, bracketless model. But then when I was reading the literature, it was showing me about somewhere we lose data. I mean, we lose information. When we are shifting data from being ranked to where we rank the different varieties and their performance, and then we are taking them to the other tool to analyze, we find that we shall be losing some information. So I wanted to understand how we can critically do that data collection using that claim app approach, because as for me as a student in Uganda, I want to understand how you can access that app, because this approach basically needs digital tools to collect the information, even with the farmers who are going to be the local scientists on the ground, whom we shall provide the inputs, the different maize lines to plant, but then the data collection has to be done using digital tools. That is, I mean, those are smartphones. But how shall we get the app, the claim app on their phones, and maybe some literature on data analysis and so on and so on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, William. So I think you're going into kind of a wider subject here on Tricot data collection with ODK Collect on phones and analysis in CLIMOB. And I think the best thing for your question is to refer you to the CLIMOB website and to try to contact them to get some help on your particular questions. But that's kind of outside the subject of today's presentation. So I don't know if you have any particular questions for Maria about data collection for her qualitative interviews on traits. But if it's just for the analysis of your data, then I refer you to climob.net, and also I can give you some email addresses of people you can contact directly and ask questions about the issues that you have.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Rachel, I think being in Uganda, you can first reach out to me. I think probably whether it's for his kind of hypothesis or whatever research question he has, whether it's the Tricot data or it's something else.
Yes, correct, Stephen.
Would you mind?
Yeah, Stephen, can you just put your email address in the chat for William?
I did that already.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see it. Okay, there you go. Perfect. All right, so William, contact Stephen there and he can help you out. Thank you very much, Stephen. Let me go to another question in the chat. Where did it go? I thought I had another one. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, there was another one in there. It was from Juan Manuel, wasn't it?
Yes, I see it. I can read it. Do you think
you can see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think these data collection methods will relegate or displace the enumerator field agent's job? I don't think so. We were actually thinking that in our case, we conducted with the enumerators that were already participating in our other data collection. But then we were thinking, okay, but how could we do this data collection then in practice with the current system of Tricot? So we were thinking that actually what we would need to do is also maybe training field agents. So training field agents on this in a way that they can conduct this data collection. And that on our side was also maybe something that we saw as a barrier because we then need to train, of course, more people in that. But after that, you do the training one time, then the person, of course, is able to do the data collection in the same way. So I don't think that would happen. But of course, we don't know yet in practice.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Anything you'd like to share? And I have a question. Maybe I missed it in your presentation, but what was the gender ratio or balance in your sample size, your sample farmers?
Yes, so in our case for the lead farmers, it was only male. Within
Only men.
Yes, only men. Yes. It was also for us difficult to have finding lead farmers in our setting. So the lead farmers that we found available based on the area that we could reach also to do the field work were all men.
Mm-hmm.
But there are
Okay, so
lead farmers who are women who were involved then in the other project.
yeah, I imagine you'll be investigating a bit more of the gender differences and age differences in your next study.
Yes, indeed. And it's also nice because, I mean, we did this pilot in Rwanda, but we are working with the other project also in Nigeria. And it's interesting also for us to see the difference between countries, the context, and also the gender difference in the lead farmers position.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Any final questions or comments from anyone? All right, well, this has been really a fascinating study that you've done, and really I think that a lot of people can take this forward to their Tricot trials and do what they can to get more of this information. Anna is saying thanks for the presentation. It was very nice, and
Thank you.
I will just share my screen and close the webinar by reminding you, if you don't already, if you know, or if you don't already know, telling you about the 1000 Farms website, where you can find information about the projects done under 1000 Farms to do with Tricot. And oh, I'm not sharing my screen, am I? I thought I was, sorry. Let me try that again. There it is, okay. And also, so there's the project website at the top, and then the community website is where you can interact with other people working on Tricot, and you can see all of the webinars that have come before this year and last year. And we will have another webinar in a week, next Thursday, with Jida Umar, who I saw just join the call. Hi, Jida. So please join us there. I'll be sending out the invitations for that shortly. And that just leaves me to say thank you very much for joining us, everyone. I hope you have a nice day, and a very special thank you to Maria for presenting today, and to Anna as well. Thank you.